back and we're making a new video on what it's like in our experience on being a deaf and hearing couple. We've been having a lot of conversation with ourselves about what that's like and navigating it, things that we challenge and the things that are really amazing about it. We wanted to have an open conversation with all of you.
Yeah, well said. I'm not very great at introduction, so I kind of let MaryV begin that one. This is actually take 3, and the past 2 times I tried to introduce everything, but good job, baby. Okay, for those who don't know, my name is Chella, and I'm someone who identifies as deaf. I use 2 cochlear implants, which are these here, right here. When I take them out, I actually can't hear anything. Can't hear myself talking right now, but we'll get to that.
You should do like the beauty guru.
Oh god. Yeah, so in this haul, I have a cochlear implant. That's all. That's the end of the haul. When I was 4 years old is when I became conscious that I was losing my hearing, as I got tinnitus, and my mom took me to the audiologist and they diagnosed me. As I was growing up, I was progressively losing my hearing. I had to navigate that within a hearing space. Growing up, there were no deaf or hard of hearing people around me, so there wasn't really anyone to teach me how to advocate for myself. So a lot of it was me figuring it out on my own, which to this day is still exactly what I'm doing. That's part of why I want to make this video. I want to explore this more, and I also want to hear from you all. Growing up, I was mainstreamed. In kindergarten, I had this box on my desk that would amplify all the noise, and the teacher would wear an FM system. I would use hearing aids all throughout grade school, all throughout my life. I feel like I don't remember when I didn't have something over my ear. When I was in 3rd grade, my family would hire an ASL tutor to come to my house every week and try to teach me sign language, but for those who learn languages, you know that you have to be immersed in that environment rather than have weekly lessons. So I would learn occasional vocabulary, but I didn't have anyone around me who used sign language. I'm very grateful for that, but I didn't reach the level I would have wanted to, and it made me feel disconnected from the people around me, as I felt like I was neither hearing or deaf. And for that reason, at the time, I rejected sign language. I felt uncomfortable using it because I didn't truly understand deaf culture, what it meant to use sign language, and how that could actually change my life for the better, which I now know. So growing up, those are all things that I experienced, and when I was 12 years old, I got my first cochlear implant. For those who don't know what that is, when I was 14, I got a second cochlear implant on my right side. Sadly, it didn't work out, and I had to get it again when I was 16. Because I didn't start losing my hearing until I was 4 years old, I learned how to speak before that, which is why I don't have a deaf accent. I've been verbal all of my life, and sign language was something that came later. So now that I live in New York, one of the goals that I had was to become more connected to the deaf community. I've been actively doing that since I moved here about 3 years ago. I've made a bunch of deaf friends. I've just felt so much more connected to my culture, my deaf culture, because of that. I'm very, very grateful to them for that. However, I do not have any friends who have cochlear implants, but I'm continuously working on my sign language, on my education and understanding of the deaf community. But I want all of those watching to know that if you don't fit in the stereotype of being deaf, which is being nonverbal and only using ASL, growing up, and going to deaf schools, that doesn't invalidate your identity. And I wish someone had told me that.
Well, alright, so another thing that a lot of people were asking is how we met. There's a video on how we met. There's 2 videos actually, so we'll include them below.
Very bumpy story, and we needed time to explain it.
Yeah.
You'll see why.
So yeah, if you haven't seen those, check those out here.
How we met.
Meeting Chella, literally when we first met, he told me I'm deaf, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he was like, I use cochlear implants, and I was like, okay, cool. I don't know what that means, but sounds good. As we started communicating, I realized he's really good at reading lips. He's pretty good at being in hearing environments because like that's what you grew up with. But then as time went on, I realized sign language was a way to communicate with you at ease, at all possibility, like at all times. And then once we started living together, I realized even more because we would come home, Chella would take off his implants, and either it was we didn't talk or I'd learn ASL to communicate. So I was like, of course I want to continue talking, so why not learn this? And also I'm a really visual person, so learning ASL was, at least to me, kind of easy. Chella had taught me everything. I would look up some words occasionally, but I didn't go to classes, just learned from Chella and from online. And I'm really thankful and grateful that you taught me everything, because I like to say I'm not fluent and more conversational because I feel like I don't know every single word, I don't know every single sign, but when I do communicate with deaf people, they've told me that my signing is pretty good and that I could be considered fluent.
Also, I just want to say, although you're like so grateful that I taught you, I'm just incredibly grateful that you were willing to learn, because MaryV is one of the only people outside of my family who has actively dedicated time to learning ASL, and that just showed me how serious she was about our relationship and proved to me that I was deserving of someone like that. Forever grateful for her.
Thanks. Now when I'm signing with Chella, I'll like SimCom, which means using your voice and also signing, but there are times that we don't use our voice. For example, at home, when Chella doesn't have his implants in, and at a restaurant, usually when it's just the two of us just hanging out.
Right.
That's my kind of little short background of sign language and being with someone who's deaf. Now we're going to go into the topics. So first one is deaf and hearing
I feel
spaces.
like we can just put, instead of saying that, just like boom, and then start talking about it.
Okay.
Deaf and hearing spaces, how are we navigating this? What we know most is hearing spaces and hearing environments, and for this reason, I'm typically advocating a lot for myself, letting other people know what they need to do in order to support me, and a lot of times, this can be very exhausting. Sometimes I'll just want to stay home. MaryV will want to go out to a club or dancing or something, but I know it will be very, very hard for me to hear, especially if we are in a group that's just much more complicated. 95% of our hearing friends don't know sign language. It's a lot of lip reading for me, which is extremely exhausting and also never 100% accurate, really. I'm trying to figure out continuously how to navigate a world and advocate for myself. Not because I don't understand my disability, but because the outside world isn't designed for me. I think the hardest part is that I never want to hold MaryV back. I don't want my exhaustion to become something that she's always looking after and caring for. I want her to still be able to go and have fun, even when I'm too tired to go to the club and I'd much rather like Netflix and chill, which sometimes we do, but I don't want this compromise to just always be on her part. I want to be able to figure out how to navigate any type of space and advocate for myself accordingly in a way that's effective. The burden doesn't fall on her. And also, I'm still unlearning the fact that I'm not a burden. I am who I am.
You're not a burden at all. And yeah, I think we're trying to navigate this together and figure it out. A lot of the time for the beginning part of our relationship, we would stay home. But I think we're exploring a new part of our life. I'm interested in going out more. We want to hang out with our friends, because a lot of our friends don't know ASL, but there are some that do, and that have tried doing specific things to make Chella more comfortable. We're thankful for that, and I notice when my friends are doing that too. Yeah, it's just something that we're figuring out, so we'd love to hear from other people what they do, how they navigate this. And I think if you are the hearing person in the relationship, I think you should be patient and accepting.
You're like one of a kind, you know.
I mean, I know there's a lot of other people
There are.
that do that too.
Well, one of the first people I met in my life who's MaryV has really changed my life for the better. Moving on.
A lot of the people that we're around are hearing people, and a lot of assumptions are made.
Widely because of the stereotypes that are around being deaf.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll over-enunciate words to Chella, and it's like, that's not helpful at all because he's trying to read your lips.
Or just like speaks extremely slowly, which does not help.
Or people will sometimes be shouting almost.
When you are deaf or hard of hearing, typically it doesn't mean that all sound is just a little bit quieter. It means that there are certain sounds that you don't get quite as much. So it's not that shouting will necessarily help. Certain sounds we just can't receive as well. So just keep your voice the same level. If we let you know that we're deaf or hard of hearing, usually the best thing you can do is just face us when you're talking. Don't cover your lips like this, so that we can read your lips, and that's it. Honestly, the only other thing you could do is ask, hey, is there anything else that I can do? Because every single person is different, and every single person might say something different.
And then something like beyond that is just writing it down.
You know, everyone's learning. Don't feel bad for asking these questions. Honestly, it's extremely helpful.
Yeah.
As long as you ask it in a very polite way without any malicious intention,
Right.
which I doubt would happen.
Right. Yeah. So another thing that we've been navigating throughout our relationship as well is
Sometimes we have fans approach us, which is incredible, and honestly, I don't even think it's real still. People will come up and say the most incredible, heartfelt messages. It just doesn't seem real to me. But sometimes, as I am verbal and I don't have a deaf accent, fans will forget that I cannot hear in certain situations, especially if I'm out alone. I tend to not wear my cochlear implants, and so they'll come up and they'll start talking. And typically, I don't feel comfortable voicing when I don't have my implants in because I don't know how loud I'm being, and I just would rather not voice. I typically just like to sign. So I'll do this so that they know that I want them to write it down. Sometimes it's not clear because, again, we are not taught this. We are not taught how to navigate situations like this. And they'll just continue talking, at which point I don't know what they're saying, and I feel bad because I want to know what they're saying to me. That's a time when I'll ask MaryV to step in and interpret. But what I don't like sometimes is that fans will come up and go directly to MaryV, ask her to interpret, when it's not her job to interpret. If anything, there's other ways that we can have this conversation just between us rather than asking someone else to step in, especially when that someone else is my partner. So it can be like an incredible experience to have this connection with people in person. I appreciate so much rather than online. But it can, depending on the time, it's also very draining as well, because every time a hearing fan will come up, I typically need to utilize energy to explain and advocate for myself in that particular situation.
Yeah. And the number one thing, and like we said before, is just write it down. We have our phone, and if you don't have your phone at the moment, like ask one of us to use our phone.
Yeah.
We'd be more than happy let you use our phone to write what you have to say, because it's so important for us to hear what you all have to say, especially when you meet us in person. It's really such a special moment.
Absolutely, yeah. I would never just pretend that I understand you. I want to know it. So in order to do that, we have to learn how to make it accessible.
Yeah.
Moving on.
So we have a whole collection of questions. First one.
I'm continuously learning. I think that right now I'm at a place where you could call me fluent because I can completely understand what other people are saying, and I can sign back to them and we can hold a conversation. But it took a while because, as I explained before, growing up I had very inconsecutive lessons and was never immersed in spaces that people use sign language 100% of the time. Only now do I have access to that, so I'm really trying to engage. So I'm still learning.
And for me, it took me about, I'm also still learning, but for me to get to the point that I am now, probably 3 years, ever since we've been together. Second question.
Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is the hardest part is navigating hearing spaces for me and trying not to have MaryV be the one that's compromising all the time on whether or not we leave or whether or not we go out. I want to make sure that I find better ways to properly explain to other hearing people around me exactly what I need and how I can advocate for myself better. I always let people know that I'm deaf and that I need to see their lips, and if I don't hear them, to write things down. But I'm trying to figure out if there's more that can be done, because typically I would do these things, and a lot of people over time, as I don't have a deaf accent, people will forget that I am deaf, and it takes a lot of reminding. So I'm trying to figure out just how to advocate for myself.
Hardest part for me, I think, is watching others just not know how to be accessible to Chella. Sometimes, honestly, watching our friends just forget sometimes. So I think that's hard to watch because we love these people so much. We're educating our friends and we're working through this together, and it's just a continuous learning. Third question. Oh, I had one before, but now I can't remember.
Come on.
No. No, I can't. Okay, maybe we'll answer it later.
Number one, it's important to know that that feeling that you have, that jealousy, that's valid. And that's completely normal. It's just something that tends to happen when you are trying to navigate a disability. Secondly, although this feeling of jealousy is valid, consider translating all of that energy into other outlets rather than letting it project onto a person who doesn't necessarily deserve the frustration that you are feeling at the moment. For example, if I ever feel isolated that way, rather than ever taking it out on MaryV, which is the last thing I want to do, because MaryV's been one of the most incredible and accommodating people that I've ever met in my entire life, converting that jealousy into energy towards finding people who understand exactly what I'm feeling more is much better spent than projecting that onto the person that is closest to me.
When I'm noticing that Chella just feeling upset, I tell him, we can talk about this. You can tell me all the reasons why you're upset, even though I won't be able to connect with them and understand them on the level that you are experiencing them. I think it's important to just be able to voice them, be able to express them in whatever way with your partner too. Any tips for communicating before sleeping, deaf, in the dark? My significant other and I have a tap system.
So, actually, before filming this video, I posted that we do sign in the dark, and it confused quite a lot of people, so I do want to explain that. When it's dark, obviously, it's almost as if I'm deaf and blind for that period of time. Deaf and blind people have their own ways of communication, and I think that we just take from that culture and those short moments. MaryV will sign, like typically, and I'll hold out my hand like this, and I'll just feel exactly what she's signing in my hand in the dark. If she's fingerspelling a letter, I'll be able to feel what letter she's fingerspelling and piece it together. Or sometimes she'll even like write like this on my skin in the dark, or my back before we fall asleep and we say I love you one last time. She'll like put it on me so I can feel it, and I know she's saying I love you. Yeah, or like that. That's typically actually the way it goes.
But yeah, sometimes it's just like jokey.
What do you mean?
Because that's like funny.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm being serious because I do love you, but also at the same time, like I'm just doing it because I know you can feel it. You can feel the love.
But tap system, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll learn Morse code.
So I get Chella's attention many ways. It just depends on where he's standing, how far away he is from me.
If I'm facing you?
If he's looking at me, yeah. There's just like so many different ways. But if it's in our house, I would sometimes like bang on the floor. But because there's hearing people below us, they would get very upset about that. So we stopped doing it.
Very New York.
But now, because our house is pretty small, it's like one room. Sometimes if Chella's in the kitchen and I'm sitting on the bed, sometimes I'll take off my sock and I'll throw it. Or sometimes...
Yeah, that's true.
You can do that. I mean, make sure it's not something hard and ground.
Wait, I would like to say though, like throwing the sock thing is only okay because it's MaryV that's doing it. If you're someone who like is just an acquaintance with a deaf person or like not that close to them, please don't throw your socks at them.
Yeah.
Typically, to get a deaf person's attention, tap them. Not slap them. That happens a lot of times. Don't push them, just lightly tap them, and it will get their attention. No socks, no smacks.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's just like, yeah.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah. And
Last question.
Last question.
Alright, a few of my favorite ones, mesmerize. It's like, what some people do. And I just think that's perfect because it just like goes right into the focal point of what catches your attention. When something's mesmerizing, there's no better way to explain it than like it's just mesmerizing. Oh, you do one.
But one of the first signs that Chella taught me was who. You like make an L and you put your thumb on your chin and then you like move your finger.
There's other like deaf puns, brownie, you sign brown and then you point at your knee, or like Sears, like the company store, make an S and you put it by your ears, Sears. Or one of my favorites is like pasteurized milk, this is the sign for milk, and you literally bring it past your eyes. So it's past your eyes milk. Alright, I think that's it. Our battery's dying and we gotta go fast. Please just share your perspectives, especially if you're disabled with an able-bodied person. I'd just love to know what's on your mind. Just please comment.
Yeah. But thank you.
Thank you for watching.
See you later. Bye.